Hello. I'm up a little bit late. I need to go to bed, but something occurs to me. I gotta get it off my chest. Why do so many martial arts schools fail to produce a significant amount of students that can just use their art practically? Right? Why do so many martial artists fail to develop self-defense ability? And I've seen some martial artists go to extreme lengths to say, well, this isn't really about fighting, it isn't really about self-defense, it's about self-improvement. You're trying to develop Zen, you're trying to develop Bushido, but Bushido is the way of the warrior. A warrior can fight. Not only can a warrior fight, a warrior can kill or be killed, preferably killing instead of being killed, but for a right cause. Why, for so long, for so many, are martial arts not practical? Okay? And it's an inversion of a very wise saying I read once. Okay? Randy Williams, Sifu Randy Williams, master, grandmaster, really, he's in charge of his own federation, wrote a wonderful book on Wing Chun that I saw in New York City at Barnes & Noble, and I used to go there and read it like once a week. And I think I eventually bought it, but I didn't bring it here to Missouri with me, so I feel really bad about that because it's one of the better books on the martial arts I've had. And in the very first couple chapters, maybe even the first chapter, he talked about some of the maxims of Wing Chun, and one maxim that I just thought was amazing, right, was he said, in Wing Chun we do the best thing first. Now, the best thing can change from situation to situation, but in Wing Chun, according to his maxim and according to his teaching, the ideal way to do Wing Chun would be to do the best thing that would gain you dominance or victory in that situation first. So, if a person came at you with a committed attack, you're not there to slip and show your slipping skills and, let him throw another committed attack and then retaliate at some point, or you're not there to defend and then come back and in that time lag maybe he can defend. You're trying to do simultaneous attack and defense, right? If the opponent has a glaring weakness, his stance is just horrible, his balance is horrible, you might attack first and try to immediately kick his knee and injure his knee or break it right away, stopping the fight, right? If the opponent blindsided you and he actually caught you with a punch, but you're not knocked out, if you still have your balance, you're in position for a side kick. If the punch turned you, right, then your bong sao flashes up. Whatever it is that would gain you the maximum advantage and bring you closest to victory or at victory, you would do the best thing first. And then whatever you did afterwards would be a follow-up, right? And the only way you could do that is to train the best stuff first and train repeatedly so you could spontaneously, under pressure, under life and death pressure, do the best thing first and then just keep doing what's necessary, right? In other words, if someone blindsides you and you get hit and you're not knocked out, you wouldn't back up 3 feet, reposition, and then do a spinning hook kick. You're already in range. If that fist goes by you, you cover that line, maybe chop him in the throat and immediately punch him in the nose, right? Whatever it takes to gain instant or near instant dominance, control, and victory. Well, if that's the ideal, why are so many martial artists, so many martial arts schools failing to have any practical ability? It's because oftentimes they train the worst thing first for the longest period with the most intensity. What? What are you talking about? Simple. Training this as a high block against a punch to your nose. It's idiotic. It can't be done. Alright? Training an inward block where you wind up to strike and block. None of those movements are actually intended to be blocks or defensive parries or anything like that. They're strikes for the most part. Oftentimes the preparatory move is a defense. For example, if someone's coming with a hook punch and I cock back like this, I actually intercept that hook punch, and my return motion is a hammer fist to the temple or the mastoid process, or maybe even a forearm smash to the side of the neck. I mean, we're talking about a far more effective and efficient move. And oftentimes, especially, look, you may hate him, but let's give credit to George Dillman for really popularizing this. Before he made this popular, some martial artists spent their whole career and never learned the true meaning, the bunkai, especially Kyushu and Tuite, of their kata and their kihon, right? So imagine you spent 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, depending on your curriculum, to get your first degree black belt, practicing the most inefficient and ridiculous way to use the moves that you spent the most time on. You did the worst thing first for the longest with the greatest intensity, and to the point when it became muscle memory. And then at some point you began to learn far more efficient ways of using these moves, but now your brain has to hesitate because it's been hardwired to think of this in some other fashion. Hardwired inefficiency. Hardwired misunderstanding. You see where this leads? It's wasted time. And so, yeah. I saw an interview on Karate Do Waku where one of the chief instructors for the JKA Australia talked about his kumite, especially his competition kumite. And he said, well, he uses a lot of gyakuzuki, reverse punch, and magiri, front kick. Uses those two techniques almost exclusively, and most of his defense is if he senses a punch coming or a kick coming, he tries to beat it to the punch with his gyakuzuki. And he's a right-hander, so he's leading with his left. And I'm like, typical Shotokan. This guy wasted his entire life. I mean, if that's what you're going to do, why bother practicing anything other than front kick and reverse punch? I mean, most kata, there are no Shotokan kata with a roundhouse kick in it. It doesn't exist. There are no Shotokan kata with a back kick. Unless you want to count that weird jump in Kanku Dai, which was originally Kusanku. And there are no, in Shotokan, you throw your side kick above the waist, but in the original Okinawan karate, that didn't exist. They were all knee side kicks, right? So, in Shotokan, you spend a goodly portion of each class going up and down the dojo, throwing reverse punches, high block, low block, inside block, outside block, knife hand blocks, spear hands, roundhouse kicks, side kicks, front kicks, back kicks sometimes crescent kicks. You do these kata with combinations of open and closed hands, forearms, elbows, nukaite, shuto, all kinds of things. And you never utilize them in a practical way. Never. And I'm convinced that there are Shotokan 7th degree black belts out there that probably barely understand anything about Tuatei and Kyusho. Right? What a waste of time. And they're so good. Shotokan black belts, Shotokan masters, I mean, the way they move, the way they execute the techniques and forms with such energy, such vibrancy. They're tremendous athletes who are incredibly efficient at the worst thing first. Yeah, a lot of you are not going to like me. It's okay. You're not paying my rent. All right. Y'all have a good day.